Can I just come across now onto the national side of things? You're eligible through your dad to play for either England or Scotland, obviously through your mum to play for Japan. You've taken that first step into international football with Japan. I think it's now called the Maurice Revello Tournament, the really world famous Toulon tournament. Tournament that's launched so many international careers. We should say that was I think it was early this recently, right? It was in May this year. It was very very recent. And you played twice in that. You played against an Argentina team coached by Javier Mascherano, nonetheless. So I'm sure fantastic experiences. The Japan team that you were a part of also is a good team for those that don't know. A lot of guys that have got J-League experience already. Riku Yamane, Jiro, Nakamura, Shinya Nakano, Yugo Masakake, Taichi Fukui, Issa Sakamoto, a very really star-studded collection of fine young Japanese talents. Firstly, where did the decision to opt to Japan rather than the others come from? And what was that experience like being over in France at such a prestigious tournament?
So in terms of choosing Japan, I think ever since growing up as a young boy, I've always wanted to represent Japan. I've always supported Japan at the World Cups and at the AFC Cups, etc. And it's always been, I think Japan's just very big in my heart. So, for me to represent Japan, and when I got the call, it was a very, very proud moment for myself and obviously for my mum, for my dad. And even my dad would push me to play for Japan as well. Because he knows how much it means to me to play for Japan. But it doesn't stop, potentially getting called up for, Scotland. And I have been called up for Scotland. That camp got cancelled. But like I said, at this youth level, any bits of experience in competitive international football is vitally important. So yeah, if they probably called me up at the same time, I'd probably pick Japan. But if Scotland do come in, of course, I'd take the experience and, obviously I give everything I got. The actual experience with Japan was fantastic. It was a 2.5 week camp and obviously tournament and fixtures in between. But like I said, training every day with these fantastic players, I learned so much from it and took so much great experience. And I've learned so much and stuff that I need to work on if I want to get called up again to show off. I've got a lot of stuff I need to work on, which I will continue to do so back at Blackburn. And yeah, I played the 2 games with against Comoros. I came on for the last 35 minutes, and then I started against Argentina. And yeah, it was a great experience. Like I said, similar style to how in terms of formation wise, but obviously Japan like to play a bit of a high press with high intensity, which is something that I haven't been doing with Blackburn over the last 2 years. So that was also a learning curve for me to play a different style. And that's something that every player needs to get used to, because obviously playing under different managers, different coaches, different clubs, you got to get used to playing different formations, different styles. With Blackburn, it was a lot of, 5 at the back. I was playing right wing back, and it wasn't a lot of high press. It was, sometimes it was sitting back and counter attack. Whereas with Japan, it's high press, trying to force errors in the opponent and try and capitalize as quick as we can.
Anyone in that squad, I mentioned a whole host of names. I think the goalkeeper actually won the keeper of the tournament, actually, in the whole thing. You guys were playing the 5th-6th match that game against Argentina. So that's a fair credit to him to win that. But any of the other players in that squad caught your eye, names for us and our audience to keep an eye out in coming years?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. So obviously I was playing at Europe, so a lot of these guys are 1 year older than me, but I would definitely say the likes of Shinya Nakano. He's already had over 50 J-League appearances. And he's a left back, centre back, right back. And watching how composed he is and how very experienced and how calm he is in pressured situations, I can learn a lot from that. There's other players such as like Kitano Sota, who plays for Cerezo Osaka, and Riku Yamane, who plays for
Yokohama Marinos.
Yeah. So, but like I was saying, a lot of the whole team was really, really good, and a lot of fantastic technical players. And I think that's the main difference between English football and Japanese football is how technical the football is over in Japan. From my experience in England, in England, it's a lot of it is physical, tactical, technical as a mix. But I think in Japan, a lot of it is based on technical, and that's why the first touch, the passing ability, the vision, the composure is very, very high with Japanese players.
You were saying to us off air before we came on that you've got conversational Japanese skills, but it's probably fallen away a little bit over the last few years. And you mentioned it's something that you want to work to improve. Was it daunting at all going into that dressing room, perhaps not with, fluent Japanese and needing to be able to communicate with those players? Were you daunted at all by that?
I think, the whole team, including staff, players, they welcomed me very well. They were very kind to me. As soon as I arrived, everyone came and approached me, gave me a handshake, and introduced themselves. And that's what I expected anyway. But as I mentioned, I can speak conversational Japanese. It's not fluent Japanese. But I wanted to make sure that they weren't speaking English to me. I wanted to make sure that I'm still speaking Japanese to them, and they weren't making the extra effort on top of the whole competition itself to speak English to me. But they welcome me very, very well. And of course, sometimes it feels daunting. Sometimes, I was a bit confused in maybe what was said, especially maybe sometimes on the pitch in the high pressure moments. But like I said, the team helped me out very well. They were very good to communicate with and easy to communicate to. And they helped me out very much.
And you also mentioned that Japan's always been in your heart. You've always supported Japan. Is there any particular players, Japanese players, that you've looked up to as you've been growing up as a footballer?
I mean, one thing that we're very lucky with is obviously with the Japan youth teams, they have a role model coach. And our role model coach was Atsuto Uchida, who obviously played for Schalke for many years in Champions League, Bundesliga, also our right back as well. And he's one that I've watched a lot growing up. In the modern day, probably players like Tomiyasu, who's obviously doing really, really well at Arsenal right now, and also players like Maya Yoshida, who's had maybe 8-9 years playing in top level Premier League football, especially as a defender as well, which is very, very impressive. So a lot of these players I like to watch and take bits out of their game and study how they play and how they, what they do in specific situations, and try and add to my game.